We're going to use 3 different types of visual indicators. We'll use a hand every time I tap. Every time I hit a button on the outside of the device, we'll give you an icon, and we're going to use arrows to help point out key information on screen. Before we get started today with VoiceOver, I'm going to show you a little trick that I use to manage different accessibility features. And this is a really good trick and tip if you are someone who uses the iPad a lot with a lot of different accessibility features. So it's a way of getting in and out of the accessibility feature really quickly. I'm in General. I'm under the Settings application. I'm in General. I'm going to scroll down to Accessibility. I'm going to tap on Accessibility. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom until I get to triple click. So I'm going to tap on this, and I'm going to tap and select VoiceOver. And what this is going to do is this is going to turn on and off VoiceOver every time I tap the home button 3 times. And it'll just make it easier for me to manage using the application. So before you can set up VoiceOver, the first thing you want to check is you want to check your international settings. VoiceOver will speak in the language that is set up in your international settings. So tap General. Scroll down until you find International, and then you want to check what language your language is set to, and then that's what VoiceOver will use when speaking back to you. So this is really important for international audience. Let's set up VoiceOver for the first time. Tap on Settings, tap on General, then scroll down to Accessibility and tap on Accessibility, and then let's tap on VoiceOver. You're going to see a lot of settings inside of VoiceOver, so let's go through them. First one is Speak Hints. And this is really good when you're first starting out. And what it'll do is when you move your finger over and have VoiceOver tell you what an item is, the Speak Hints, if it's turned on, will tell you double tap to launch the item or open the folder or whatever you can do there. So it's a good way of really sort of reinforcing. There's a lot of commands within the VoiceOver environment, and so it's a really good way of reinforcing that. Obviously, as you get used to it, you'll turn that off. The speak rate, which is the next item, turtle is for slow, rabbit is for fast. You can see that I'm not very good at this. I have it fairly slow. I just don't usually interface a computer this way. And then type feedback is your next option. I'm going to tap on that. And what type feedback does is, with a keyboard, you can choose to either have it click on it, speak back a word, or speak back the characters, or in this case, the default setting is to speak both characters and words. That will make more sense as you use a VoiceOver to read back to you, whether you want to just choose to read back characters or just whole words. So I'm going to leave the default there. Phonetics, when it comes to single characters, it will tell you A is for alpha and N is for November. I have that turned on, although I don't really hear it very much. Use pitch change and compact voice. These are just ways of fine-tuning the voice feedback for you. Braille interface, let's tap on that. So here you can see I've tapped on the Braille interface, and all the Braille interfaces are Bluetooth, and so it has sensed that my Bluetooth is turned off and said, do you want me to turn on Bluetooth? I'm going to select no, but if you had a Braille interface, you'd have your Bluetooth turned on, and it would then ask you to pair up with your interface. So I'm going to turn this off, and then you have your different Braille options. Going back, when VoiceOver is active, the rotor is a way of changing the settings of VoiceOver while VoiceOver is active, so you don't have to keep going back to the settings. I'm going to show you here, we have characters selected, word selected, lines, and most importantly down here, this is not a default, and so you want to do vertical navigation. And this allows you're going to use VoiceOver to both navigate and to read back content to you. And so when you can use the rotor to switch the navigation from horizontal, left to right, to vertical up and down. And so this is a way of doing that. So you want to definitely select on vertical navigation. Language rotor is the same thing when you're in a situation where you want to change the language. I don't have any other languages selected. I left that blank, so there'll never be a language rotor. Navigate images, always with descriptions or never. So this is when you're in the web browser, it'll read back to you. And then speak notifications. This is, all of your auditory alerts and visual alerts. This will actually speak them back to you. So those are the settings, and then we can go ahead and turn on. These are the settings the way that I want them. We can go ahead and turn on VoiceOver by just tapping and sliding to the right, and now VoiceOver's on. So we've just turned on VoiceOver, and you'll see that it just popped up the practice button VoiceOver Practice. So I'm going to swipe across
VoiceOver Practice.
to select it and then double tap now to launch VoiceOver Practice. Okay, so
VoiceOver Practice. Heading.
So it just read me the heading, and if this is just a free area where I can do different gestures, it'll tell me what the gesture is and it'll tell me what it does. So I'm just going to show you a couple of them. This is flick to the right.
Practice voiceover gestures, commands, and typing in this area. Select the Done button in the top right corner and double tap to exit.
So you just heard the instructions when I flicked to the right. I'm going to flick to the right again.
Touch. Select item under your finger. Double tap. Activates the selected item. 2-finger double tap. Start and stop the current action. Touch. Select item under your finger. Flick right. Move to next item. Flick up. Move to previous item using Rotor. Flick down. Move to next item using Rotor setting. Flick left. Move to previous item.
So you can see this is giving me a lot of different feedback on each of my gestures, and there are a ton of different gestures, and I'm not going to be able to do them justice in this video. Notice how when I used different kinds of flick, it would say flick would advance to previous item or advance to next item or previous item, but if I flicked up or flicked down, it would do whatever the rotor setting was set at. So again, this is a way of customizing. The rotor is a key component in customizing its usage.
For more information, go to iPadsforSpecialNeedsBook.com, where you'll find more videos, other resources like cheat sheets, and a book on how to use the iPad for your special needs user.